right, folks. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Brandon Rodriguez Toronto, and I'm our Associate Director for National Recruitment for the Mid-Atlantic. We're excited to welcome you to our community over the next few months and are glad you're joining us this evening. Before we formally begin, I'd love to welcome a few members of our admission team for the evening.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Hasten. I'm the Director of National Recruitment. I'm excited to be here and thanks for coming.
Hi, folks. This is Danny Keene. I'm the Director for National Recruitment, Western New York. And I'd like to say go Sabres to everyone in Western New York today.
Howdy, hey everybody. My name is Ethan Tinsley. I serve as one of the assistant directors. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to be here with us.
All right, thanks so much to our admission team members for being here. The topics listed on the screen here are what we'll be focusing on tonight. And for those who haven't used Zoom in a while and need a little refresher on Zoom webinars, the taskbar you see on your left is what you'll see if you're joining us from a computer. And the one you see on your right is what you'll see if you're joining us from your phone. Or at least I hope it's what you're seeing. You are welcome to utilize the Q&A features to submit questions throughout the session. We'll have a formal Q&A section at the end, and we'll also respond to any questions that are asked during the presentation. Closed captions have also been enabled, and you're welcome to press show captions on your device to be able to access that. Tonight's webinar will also be recorded and be available in the transition tab of your MyJCU gateway. So your roadmap to day one is a list of key dates to get you excited for the first day of classes on Thursday, August 27th. As you already know, May 1st has officially passed and you're all here, so congrats on getting this process started. We also know many of you have completed your housing application and have registered for orientation, so a quick thank you to those of you who have done that. Aside from your orientation date, we'd also like for you to add August 23rd to your calendars for our move-in day. This is also the first day of Streak Week, which wraps up right before the first day of classes. Move-in Day and Streak Week are some of the biggest events that'll kick off your 4 years at John Carroll, so please make sure you have those on your calendar.
Alrighty, so as you prepare for all of those important dates that Brandon just walked you through, the MyJCU Gateway portal will be your home base as you prepare to transition to JCU. So actually, if you have a second screen, I encourage you to pull that up so you can walk through your own Gateway portal and follow along with us. So after you placed your enrollment deposit, you gained access to the transition tab on the toolbar, which is that in that upper right hand. And under this tab, you'll find a checklist of important tasks. Some of these need to be completed quickly, whereas you have time to get some of the other ones taken care of at a later date. But we'd like to walk you through each one of these from a high level, just so that you can feel comfortable tackling these yourselves. I'll now take just a couple of minutes to bring you through the first ones on your transition checklist, just so you have a good awareness of the ones we'd like you to prioritize. So these are going to be up here at the top. Note that these have asterisks on them, just so you know which ones that we'd like you to focus on. And in order for you to access each step for more information on each item, honestly, you just click into each of the hyperlinks within that checklist. All right, and just a quick run through of the ones I'm going to walk you through. We'll talk about registering for orientation, your academic and career interest form, the foreign language placement exam, the math placement exam, your financial responsibility statement, and activating your JCU Google account. So starting off strong, in order to register for orientation, you'll need to complete an online form within that checklist. This form is relatively simple to complete. You're just going to be providing your name and names of any family members attending. Just as a very quick note, parents and guardians are not required to attend orientation, but honestly, it can be helpful to come along just so that they can get a good feel for what's being shared. And we do have some sessions that are targeted for families, so something to keep in mind. And among the most intensive of your activities to complete is the academic and career interest form. This one is a little bit more time consuming than the orientation registration. So I encourage you to spend a little bit of time providing thoughtful answers within that form. And just as a quick note, this is a form that should be completed by the students themselves, perhaps with assistance from your parents and guardians, but the majority of this should be done by you as the student. So again, I ask that you give this form some close attention and care because this is the form that allows academic advising to create a fall course schedule for you ahead of orientation. So within this form, you will respond to questions about your interests, your values, as well as your hopes for your fall semester schedule. There is an opportunity within the form for you to update your academic major and minor interests. And additionally, if you're involved in any special programs such as the honors program, the leadership scholars program, or one of our athletic teams, you'll be able to indicate that in the form for advisors to take into consideration as they build that schedule. So also make sure you are listing any of your AP, IB, and dual enrollment courses on this form so that the advisors know to avoid those particular areas as you anticipate bringing in transfer credits. And as mentioned, all of this is going to be used by Academic Success to create your fall course schedule. So you'll receive that course schedule on day one of orientation when meeting with your professional advisors about your onward plan. And then on day two, you will have the opportunity to schedule time to meet with that advisor just to see if there are any adjustments that need to be made about your schedule. With the foreign language placement exam, you'll see that as one of the other priority items on the to-do list. So if you have previously studied French, German, Italian, Latin, or Spanish, you are required to complete this placement exam in those languages. So even if you don't plan to continue studying that language at JCU, you would still be required to take that placement exam. As a quick note, you're going to receive an invitation if you haven't already received an invitation for that exam for our Canvas platform. And that email is sent to your JCU email address with instructions on how to complete that placement exam, but that comes only after you have registered for orientation. And a quick piece of advice here, make sure you're checking your spam folder just in case that Canvas invite landed in the spam folder. Similarly, all students who are planning to major in biology, business, chemistry, data science, engineering, health sciences, math, nursing, physics, or psychology are also required to take a math placement exam. However, this requirement can be waived if you have scored a 25 or higher on the ACT math section or a 600 or higher on the SAT. And if you applied to JCU as a test optional, you can have your score report sent to your admission counselor in order for us to waive that for you. So no worries on that front. And unlike the language placement exam, the math exam is taken through the ALEKS placement assessment. So I'd highly encourage you to follow the detailed instructions that are listed in your gateway. Another piece of the puzzle for course registration is your financial responsibility statement. So essentially, this is an acknowledgement of each student's financial obligation to the university. It's important, it's very important that this statement is signed by you as the student and not by a parent or a guardian. And while you're completing this, you will likely be prompted to set up a Duo multi-factor authorization. So essentially, this is an app that you download onto your phone that allows us to verify your identity. And this just takes a couple of minutes to set up, but it is important that you have this in place in order to move forward. And once your Duo is set up, you will find your financial responsibility statement under the to-do section of your MyJCU. And this is where it gets a little bit complicated because MyJCU is a different platform from your MyJCU gateway portal. So it will take you to a different site when you click on that link. But once you log into that MyJCU, it might take just a few seconds for that form to appear under your to-do list. So do not worry if it's not there right away. It'll just take a couple of seconds for it to populate. And finally, if you haven't already done so, make sure to activate your JCU email account through gmail.jcu.edu. And if you take anything away from what I'm about to tell you, it is very, very important that when you set up your Google account, that you set up the two-factor authorization while setting up that email. Otherwise, within a couple of weeks, you will be locked out of your email account and you'll need to contact the help desk to reset access to your account. So make sure that you're doing that. And then with all of these steps completed, your academic advisor will be able to create the best possible course schedule for you in the fall. So actually next up, Amy is going to bring you through the finer details of orientation.
Yeah, thanks, Danny. Okay, so we're going to look a little deeper into what to expect for orientation. Danny has mentioned a couple of things to be aware of, but I just kind of want to give you a broad overview of what orientation looks like. So, orientation is a required 2-day session or experience where you'll get to connect with your community and prepare for life at JCU. These sessions are offered between June and August, and just for your awareness, the first 2 sessions are full. Now, don't stress. As Danny mentioned, part of our moving forward is helping you get registered for classes ahead of time. So, because you'll be in later dates for orientation, it does not mean you're going to get closed out of classes. It does not mean that you won't have a say in your course registration. That is why it is so vital for you to go onto your transition tab and fill out and complete all of those tasks, and to make sure that you're filling out the form Danny mentioned with thought and purpose, because this is how we will get you your course schedule for when you arrive during orientation. So, what does your 2 days look like? As Danny mentioned, you can bring your family, you can bring a parent, a guardian, it doesn't matter who it is. We'll talk a little bit more about that and the difference there. But what you can expect as the student is day 1, discovering campus and welcoming you. So there's going to be welcome sessions, a resource fair. You get to check in and move into your residence hall, the one you'll be staying in for the night. You'll meet your orientation group and student leaders. You get to explore more of what your onward plan looks like, and then there are evening activities and dinner planned. On day 2, there are additional resources and support services you'll encounter, small group check-ins. You'll learn more about Onward, and then you'll have an option to meet with your advisor and or financial aid. Lastly, you'll encounter next steps to prepare for Streak Week, which is wild because that leads right up to official move-in and start of classes. So I know Danny and I have both mentioned family involvement. It is not required for a parent or guardian to accompany you during orientation, but it is highly encouraged. It's an important part of your entire unit understanding what to expect for your incoming freshman year at John Carroll. So while the student is connecting with classmates and meeting advisors, families will have their own programming. It's around meeting other John Carroll families, learning about resources on campus and support to your student, understanding expectations as far as academics are concerned. You can connect with financial aid and student accounts, and you can also do a campus tour and attend Q&A sessions. So I want to answer a couple of frequently asked questions as it pertains to orientation. All of this can be found online at jcu.edu/orientation, but I do want to address some of them now. Orientation is required. Your parents and guardians can attend, but where are they going to stay? So you're going to stay overnight on campus in a residence hall. Your parent, guardian, or family can stay within 5 miles of campus. We actually have a preferred vendor hotel list, if you would like to check that out on our website as well. So, accommodations that are provided to you for your overnight stay, we'll have bedding available, so don't worry about bringing that unless you have something you want to bring with you. And there will be food provided, so don't worry about that. And then also, where do you park? It's free. You'll park right on campus. So no need to worry about those logistical things. We have them for you. Next, Brandon's going to talk a little bit more about housing.
Thank you so much, Amy, for all that information. Really excited for orientation. It's so close, it's so far. Don't forget to enjoy these final couple of days of your senior year of high school. Now, let's talk housing. So, as you may know, the residential experience is one of the most important aspects of your undergrad experience here at JCU. I always recommend that students check out our Housing and Residence Life 101 webinar that we had in February so you can get a more in-depth look at this process, as tonight we're only focusing on the very basics of the housing process. So if you'd like to see a more in-depth look into the portal, what it looks like, and hear from a Res Life staff member, then I definitely recommend you check that out. Now, the housing application process seems a little intimidating at first, but it's just three easy to follow steps. All of this information is also within your transitions tab of your MyJCU Gateway. So for those of you following along, you're also able to do this. So with step one, you'll have to submit your $200 housing security deposit. And keep in mind that this is a deposit. So the remaining balance of that deposit will be refunded to you when you leave your campus housing situation. So if you stay on campus all 4 years, you'll get that back at the end of your 4 years. So that's something to keep in mind. You'll gain access to the housing application about 24 hours within about 24 hours after payment. So that's something to keep in mind. It's a couple of steps here. So for step two, once you receive access to that housing application, so that's what you'll get access to after paying, you'll need to complete it by June 1st. It is helpful to know that you don't need to select a roommate to submit the application. That's going to be a step three problem. So now for step three, you'll need to make a roommate request or fill out the matching questionnaire by June 8th. So that's something you can get done as soon as you get access to that. You will gain access to it upon completing your first step and second step. So make sure to do those in order. Now, after completing the questionnaire, you will gain access to the roommate selection page. And this is where you can actually search for roommates based off of their profiles, their percentage compatibility match, or if you already know who you're rooming with. You can also find them there too. My biggest ask and our biggest ask is always to please be as honest as possible on your questionnaire because the questionnaire really allows our Res Life staff to match you with potential good roommates that'll be a good fit for you. So parents, please let your students take liberty on this section as it's really important that they're honest with their lifestyle, whether they're a night owl, a morning owl, or things like that. So yeah, so please be sure to submit that and be honest with that questionnaire. Now, if you're interested in finding a roommate outside of this process, I'd love to encourage you to check out the Class of 2030 tab in your MyJCU Gateway and submit a profile. If you have an Instagram account, this is very easy. No other steps necessary. You can just follow the JCU Class of 2030 Instagram page and see what other students are coming into campus in the fall. It's a really great place to find potential roommates or just friends. So it's a really great place to really just know who your future classmates will be. And who knows, maybe you'll find a roommate. And keep in mind, maybe you met another student at an admitted student event or something like that. So now's a really good time to check in with them and see, hey, have you found a roommate? Would you like to room or something like that? So keep that in mind too. Now, last but not least, let's cover the remaining topics on your enrollment checklist. So, as we mentioned earlier, I'd just like to re-emphasize the importance of activating your JCU email account and completing your two-factor authorization to avoid getting locked out of your account. You do not want to get locked out at the very end of the process when you're almost completing your enrollment checklist. And keep in mind, upon graduating high school and receiving your diploma, you should work with your high school counselor or registrar to send us your final transcript. You'll know it's an official transcript when there's a graduation date on it. So, congrats in advance for those of you who are about to cross the stage in a few weeks. The remaining health-related checklist items will be done within a separate health portal, which you can access after clicking any of these health reform-related items. You will need to have access to your JCU Google account and dual multi-factor authentication to upload this documentation. So keep that in mind. And you'll notice that after you click one of those open, you'll be sent to a little JCU logon. And after submitting that, you'll get a Duo mobile authentication request to your phone. So make sure to have that taken care of. So that step is a lot easier to go through. I also want to mention that the statuses of those things may not update on your gateway, and that's completely normal. So keep in mind that the forms that you're going to be submitting for health for all of your health forms, those are evaluated manually by your health center, and they keep track of those internally. So if you have a hesitancy, but you know you submitted a form, trust your gut, trust yourself. You know what you've taken care of. So if you don't see a little green check mark on the enrollment checklist, don't worry. It is done if you know it's done. And if there are any concerns, our health center will be in touch with you. So make sure you're monitoring your email and your spam email, as Danny mentioned earlier. Now, that brings us to the end of our webinar. Before we formally transition to our Q&A, please know that your relationship with us as your admission counselors did not end on May 1st. We're here to help you throughout your transition, so please don't hesitate to reach out if we can be of any assistance with understanding your financial aid letter, with understanding the roommate process, or just picking an orientation. I also just wanted to let you know to look out for the next steps on accepting your financial aid next week. So we are ahead of schedule already to get you to campus. So please look forward to that, and be sure to check out your email for that information to come.